There was a group he talked to 15 minutes ago from Preston Taylor Ministries. I have no idea what it is, but I know that when he gets on the air, there is an it factor that I can't explain, but you all connect with him, he connects with you all. Would all of you give a great Nashville welcome to Coach Herm Edwards?
Thank you.
So you just got up. We were up in that room over in the corner back there. You see where the window's open? And we had a buddy of mine, Will Stye, and 14 of his kids from the Preston Taylor Ministries come in. And you didn't have any notes. You didn't have anything. You just spoke from the heart. Talk to me about that. I mean, that's a gift.
Well, I think when you get as old as I've been now, as I sit up here, the thing you learn when you get a little older, you gain wisdom. And you always have the ability to pass that back and to give it. I learned at a very young age that maybe the best thing that your mom and dad give you is a good last name. And it's not about possessions, it's really not. It's about the wisdom they share with you. Interacting with your children, I think, is very, very important. When I look at our society, it's built on a couple building blocks. It's our faith, it's our family, our education, and then it's entertainment or sports. And however you view those things, what a priority they're in, everyone gets to choose that. I choose the latter, where my faith is very important, my family. Education, I think, is the next one, and then obviously your occupation. And I was fortunate enough to be an athlete, to be a professional athlete, to be a college athlete, high school athlete. When I look at it, 30 years in the National Football League is a long time. And you gain a lot of wisdom. You gain a lot of wisdom in life, just in general. And I think life is about learning. That's the great thing about life. You get the experience after the lesson. Sometimes the experience is not so good.
The other way around.
Lesson, yeah, but it doesn't happen that way.
You all probably suspect I have badgered Herm for about 4 months to come down and do this. And once he was able to clear his schedule and say yes to this, Willie found a speech that you did, an NFL Rookie Symposium speech. And I don't know how many times you've done this, but we have run it. Most everybody in here has heard at least part of the speech. Talk to me about what you try to say to them, and do you think they're listening?
Well, I think they're listening. I think we all listen. But do we understand what we're listening to? It's kind of like I always tell players, you're listening, but do you hear me? And I think that's the difference. We live in a society now where everything becomes fast, and we want to have a conversation, we want to tweet somebody, we want to drive a car. Well, you're not really listening to anything. You're trying to listen to all this stuff, but you're not hearing anything. And I think when we can focus in on, when you hear things, that's when you focus in, and that's when you understand what people are saying. And for young players that come in the league, it's very simple. I just believe life is simple. We complicate it sometimes. And I tell them the story, basically. I know you're a professional football player, and you have an agent, and you have all this. I learned a long time ago, just one of everything's pretty good. Just one of everything. One car, right. One house.
Here he goes.
Right? Just think about it. You get one car, you get one house. Because you only can drive one car at a time.
Right.
You can't drive two of them at the same time. You only drive one.
But didn't you tell them one bling bling?
Well, yeah, the jewelry now, that's a whole, they want to get the Mr. T starter set, Some of these young people don't know who Mr. T was, but he was a guy that wore a lot of chains of jewelry. You only get one. And then I said, you got to make a decision in your life. If you're not married, you get a girlfriend. But you can't have a girlfriend and a wife. You can't have
both. It doesn't work real well,
one.
does it? Yeah.
And if you really think about it, as you get older in life, you really realize that, you know what? Yeah, one is pretty good. Because when you start adding 2, 3, 4, it gets complicated. It gets very complicated. And so for me, it was always one. I just said, okay, we live in a world where we think possessions are very important. And it's really your memories. When you get older, you realize the most important thing I have is my memories. It ain't the possessions. Because you get rid of possessions, you get a new watch, and all of a sudden, 3 months later, there's another watch. Look, we got it figured out in our country now. Electronics, they're great. Because every 6 months there's something new. You get a new phone, and there's lines out 6 months later trying to get the next phone. You know, the televisions. I mean, you get a new color television, you sit in your room, and all of a sudden, oh, I got a nice color. By a year from now, they got another one. You got to go get that one. And so
I have not done that.
I'm telling you, I didn't own a cell phone until I started working for ESPN.
Really?
How about that?
That is.
I never had, as a pro
Really?
football coach, the commissioner, when it was Tagliabue, gave me a cell phone. I said, I don't need it. I don't need a cell phone. I'm in my office 14 hours a day, and then I go home. My wife has a cell phone. I give you her number. Then Roger takes over, and he says, Herm, you don't have a cell phone. I don't need a cell phone. I said, I'm the type of guy who can walk down the street. Everyone has a cell phone. I asked them, I use a cell phone. Guess what? They said, yeah, coach, you can use it. And I use other people's cell phone when I want to make a call. The cell phone is for your convenience. It's not for inconvenience. And so when I started working for ESPN, the first thing they look at me and say, Coach, we heard you don't have a cell phone. I said, that's a true story. I don't have one. They said, well, you're media. You have to have a cell phone. The worst thing I could ever have is a cell phone because they always know where I'm at. I was just talking to them just 5 minutes ago. They said, Coach, you got to go on air tonight on the radio. It's not good.
Oh, my God. I didn't know that was coming. So how many of you in here remember the late, great Coach Ed Martin from Tennessee State University? Okay. It took me about 3 weeks to figure out that Herm reminds me a little bit of Coach Martin. He's got the sayings. Behind the sayings are some pretty powerful meanings. I wish you'd known him. He used to have a lot. Now, I can't say all of the things he said, but one of his best ones was that I've been through 3 wars and 2 uprisings, and he was always putting that stuff out. In the first few weeks, it became obvious to me that Herm is a great communicator. Take the coaching and the TV out, great communicator. Where do you think that came from?
Probably from my dad. My dad was in the Army, he's a military man, World War II and the Korean War, 27 years. And when you have a father that's in the military, first of all, you learn discipline, you learn hard work, and you learn how to communicate like real early in life, you know?
It's pretty blunt communication.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you're going to do this? Yes, sir, I'm doing it. There's no way out, you know?
It's not multiple choice.
No,
okay.
No.
So how did that help you? How much did that help you in coaching? The fact that clearly you are a better communicator than most of the people in that business.
Well, I think people want consistency and honesty. You know, I believe in this. Integrity is very important. And I don't complicate it. It's real simple for me. Your words and your life match up. Bottom line. You know, what we do in the dark eventually comes to the light. We see it all the time. We see it all the time in people's lives. We see it in athletes' lives a lot. We see it in politicians' lives. That eventually what we do in the dark is going to come to the light. And you have to be a man or a person of integrity because people want to know the truth. I grew up in a world when you shook a person's hand, that was your bond. You didn't need 25 contracts. You look a man in the eye and say, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be there at 5 o'clock. You're there at 5 o'clock. I mean, you didn't need to sign a contract. I still believe in that. When I say I'm doing something, I'm doing it. I'm not going to find a way out. You know, this is what we're going to do. And I think we live in a world where it's easy to get out of things. You know, we live in a society anymore where you want to commit to something, but you want the answer before you commit. You don't want to go through the hardship of trying to figure out what's going to be at the end. We always want to know the answer, you know, before we commit to something. When you commit, you commit. And you can't tap out if it gets hard. You can't say, well, I'm going to quit now. It's hard. Life is hard. Who said it's supposed to be easy? I was talking to those young kids up there. I learned a long time ago, we sit here, we want life to be fair. Life's not fair. So we got some young people out there. You think life's fair? Life's not fair. It's not supposed to be fair. Life's about opportunity. And you get an opportunity, that's what you get. You can't say it's going to be fair because it's not. It's never been fair. And so we strive for this, I want to be fair. Life is about inconvenience, to be quite honest, in my opinion. It's how do you handle inconvenience? It comes to your doorstep every day, and it doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter what religion you are, it doesn't matter any of that stuff. How do you deal with inconvenience? So at an early age, I understood inconvenience. And I said, okay, I understand it. How do you deal with it?
Based on the radio, if suddenly I had $1 billion, I would hire you as my National Football League coach. You've been out of this now how long?
6 years.
What do you think you would do differently that you know now from taking a step back that maybe you didn't know while you were doing those jobs?
Well, I think the thing you do know is that if you got a good quarterback, you're going to win a lot of games. And if you don't have one, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what, it's tough sledding. Then you're just trying to get to the fourth quarter and make it a one-score game, and hopefully you can win. And
is that part now worse than it was, that you've got to have one of the elite or you've got no chance?
You don't really have to have an elite one. You really don't. You have to have a good one. You have to have one that doesn't lose games. They're all different. There's 4 elite quarterbacks out of the 32, in my opinion. It's Peyton Manning, it's Drew Brees, it's Aaron Rodgers, and it's Brady.